Hello YouTube, this is Darkon633, and today we're taking a look at actually a Figma review, because today we're actually going to take a look at Yami Yugi, based on the character from the long-running Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. Now, Yami Yugi was a pretty cool character, also known as a Tim, which is actually the spirit of a pharaoh that listed many years ago from ancient Egypt, which bestowed his power within the Millennium Puzzle, which Yugi eventually assembled in the modern day at the time, to bring forth the power of the Pharaoh once again. Anyways, we're going to take a look at the box. Now, most Figma are just in the standard smaller rectangular box design, but because of the cape, which I think is kind of overkill in the way that they packaged it, they decided to release it in the larger size boxes. Now, unlike Figuarts, Figma is actually made by the company Max Factory, so I think this might be the first Figma I've actually reviewed on my channel. I already own a couple of Figmas, but I never actually reviewed them. I might have reviewed the link, but it's been so long I do not remember if I actually reviewed it. But anyways, we're going to take a look at the box on the side here. It shows a picture of Yugi, and it is actually part of the standard numbering system. He is number 276. I think this just represents the numbers of all the Figmas they released over time. Another picture of Yugi on the side there. And on the back, it just shows some of the poses you can do with them. So this is a pretty nice box otherwise. Same thing with the top as well. Now, here is the standard Yu-Gi-Oh! Logo, and it is actually part of the 20th anniversary of the franchise. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been around for quite a long time, actually. Anyways, we'll now take a look at the figure. Now, the figure has high posability and actually has a stand like other Figma. What was actually interesting to see is that when I first took him out of the box, I wasn't sure where to put the stand with the cape on, or his jacket, to be more precise, until I saw that there actually is another peg hole where you can actually peg into even with the cape on. One thing that is kind of annoying for me is that there are two things that kind of annoy me about the figure. One, just for the way that the figure's designed, unfortunately you do need to remove the head in order to put the Millennium Puzzle on. It could have been better if they actually found some kind of clip way where you can unclip the puzzle and put it around his neck, but I can understand why they did it like that to make it a lot more accurate and design that how it is. Another thing is that I wish that the figure included another version of Dual Disc, or at least this Dual Disc was able to collapse, because I actually own the older Mattel version of Yugi, which had the ability to actually open and close the Dual Disc into standby and dual mode. But obviously that was a lot cheaper figure, and it's definitely nowhere near as articulated. But anyways, that's pretty much it for Yugi, just on its own. Before I go on articulation specifically though, we're going to take a look at the rest of the contents that are included with the Figma. But anyways, we're going to open the box and see what's inside. Inside the box we get quite a bit of accessories. Unfortunately, the way that the lighting on my camera is, it's kind of hard to see just alone. But it comes with a rack, like other Figma, with several different hands that you can replace them with. Two sets of cards, one just being like a full hand full of cards, with only one of them actually having the design of the cards themselves. Now, unlike what I thought it might have had, the design is a little bit more based on the actual card game design rather than the one from the anime, because in the anime you actually can't see the effect or anything and all that. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of weird in the anime because it seems like they must have memorized what the cards do, because it doesn't have any of the stuff on there. This one too has the same type of markings as well. He comes with the alternate eye piece, which I've already replaced. This is the standard eye that the figure comes with, and it also includes a different face with a different expression that you can attach onto the figure as well. Hopefully, camera, there we go. So that's pretty much it for accessories. Otherwise, besides the Millennium Puzzle, the jacket, and the replacement arm that features the Dual Disc. This was just a standard arm that was originally attached to the figure without the Dual Disc, since you actually need to remove the entire piece in order to put the Dual Disc on. But anyways, we'll now take a look at how it looks like with the different expressions. Now we're going to take a look at the articulation and just how some of the accessories look like on the figure itself. Articulation-wise, his head is on a ball joint in two areas. One on the upper part of the neck and the bottom part, which allows it to move it quite a bit, but at the same time does get hindered a bit just to the way that his head design is. It is a bit strange, actually, how the way that the joint works. As you can see, it can bend forward and back quite a bit and so on, but that's pretty much it for the neck otherwise. His shoulders are on ball joints, which are very tight on this end, so that's why you're not going to see a whole lot of movement there. And it can go in and out a bit by the way that the shoulder is designed. It can swivel just a bit on the elbow, but it's extremely tight, so I'm not going to move it around too much. He does have a single joint in the elbow. However, the bottom parts of the elbow can also twist just a bit, as you can see there. But it's extremely tight in mine as well, so I'm not going to move it around either there. He does have ball joints in the wrists, which have a really well made range of movement, which I really like about Figma's. His body also has a waist joint, which can move around as well. Can also crunch a bit up and down like that as well. And his legs are on ball joints along with the full hip articulation, but since it does have a little bit more softer texture, they're going to have a little bit more movement, but just the way that his belt design is, you do need to move it around just a bit in order to move it a little bit further than you can otherwise. He has outward hip movement, can also swivel as well. Really well hidden knee joints. Can swivel also at the bottom there, which are really tight on both. And he does have ball joints in the ankles, which can move left and right just a tad bit, which is also really tight on mine. Can swivel also. So you're going to have a wide range of movements for a Figma design. Now, one thing to note, just from the dual disc alone, is that when you actually have the full cape attached, this piece likes to bump a lot against the cape. I think it's just a little bit worn already over time when moving the joint, just because it likes to hit that piece a lot, as you can see right here. So you do need to move that with a little bit of caution when moving the joint all around. What's cool is that the Millennium Puzzle actually features a metal chain, which is really nice actually, and really helps the design of the character itself. Now we're just going to take a look at how some of the other accessories look like attached to the figure. We're going to remove the hands, which are a lot easier to remove, unlike Figuarts, because it has a little bit more of a peg design rather than a full ball joint. And we're just going to put, for now, just the open hand just to see how it looks like with a different pose. So we're just going to attach it, which is really easy to do. And there you go. Now it looks like he's doing some kind of pose, ready to duel pretty much before he goes on with the duel itself. Now we're going to remove that and actually attach one of my most favorite hands of the set. And that's because with these set of hands, which actually can be put on both sides, which I'm going to quickly do, I'm going to remove the other standard fist, and we're going to put on the actual card holding hands, which actually work a lot better than some of the Figuart hands that I played around with. We're just going to put the standard single card in his hand here. It actually fits really well, and hopefully it does not fly out during the middle of the video. And the same thing for the card hand. I'm just going to attach it here. Slides in really nicely, and it actually stays pretty secure actually, which I really enjoy. And now we got him fully ready to duel. Now he has enough articulation points in order to make it look like he's pulling it out from the deck itself. The card is a different size compared to the one designed in the dual disc, but it does work enough to replicate as if he's trying to pull a card out. I'm trying with the best of my abilities without it flying out. There we go. Looks like he's about ready to pull a card out of the deck right there. And he has just enough posability to make it look like he's about to set a card, which I was afraid that was going to happen. At least he didn't fall off the table. A card on the dual disc itself, which I'm just going to have to play around with in order to get it to pose properly. You do need to play around with it in order to get it right, and that's the best of my ability at the moment to replicate as if he's trying to place the card on the duelist itself, which is really nice. He has really nice posability for a anime character, which I really like about Figmas. I'm not really too much in the Figma line since I don't really watch that much anime. Even though I do like watching anime, I don't watch enough to warrant getting a whole ton of Figmas, since I'm more of a tokusatsu kind of fan. But I do enjoy still watching them. I just don't usually buy products so much of them, unless I really care for it. Since Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually something I really enjoyed in my childhood, I actually really like the fact that Max Factory has made a really nice designed Yugi figure in general. I do have the Mattel one, like I mentioned before. I just don't know where it went, but it's nowhere near the quality I've seen with this Figma. In terms of design, though, I don't really see any flaws, like fragile parts or anything. The only thing that could be possibly considered fragile is maybe the dual disc itself and the hard plastic pieces that form up the hair. And another thing is that when you actually remove the face, you do need to pull out the hair piece, and the face piece is a separate piece that you need to attach to these little small pegs, as you can see here. So that is kind of annoying how to remove it, but at least it does stay secure enough so that it doesn't fly out all the time. So I highly recommend getting the Yugi Figma. I think it turned out really nicely, and since Max Factory's done a lot of anime figures in the past, there isn't a whole lot of problems you're going to see with human designs. Unlike Tamashii, which is not used to the standard humanistic designs, while they do nicely in making suits, they don't really do nicely making human faces, since a lot of the ones they released, like Domon Kaju and even Master Asia, and various other things, like even Hana from Den-O being a good example, Tamashii doesn't really do a good job with humanistic design figures. Although the Takeshi Hongo figure that's coming out looks really nicely, it's unknown if he's actually going to get released. It's probably just a test phase thing. But I really enjoyed this Figma, and I highly recommend this to anyone who's a fan of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. Anyways, please comment and subscribe, and check out Hirotaku and Hero Club as well. Also, please check me out on Twitter under Darkon633, and please check down the other channels down below. And I'll be back to bring more reviews. But for now, I'll be seeing you YouTube. Bye.